The sons of Delilah met frequently. They would gather in a gang and play chess and drink coffee and eat food. They loved one another's company, and their little gatherings went on for hours and hours. Once the anecdotes got going, there was no stopping them. They discussed most often the days gone by, for they all knew in their bones that there had been a time before that was better than that now, a past for which they pined and yearned, a past they kept alive with their witty words, telling tales of the old country and of a land of Delilah, their beloved mutual mother.
Who's paying?
Not me.
Nor me neither.
Fine, I'll cover us.
This place is too bloody expensive.
Every time I try to lift my head above the water, life just pushes me right back down.
There is no more stability these days, such as our forefathers had.
True enough. We who are many sons of many fathers, but only one mother.
The fair Delilah, our little wonderful mammy, gone but not forgotten.
Such tales she used to tell of the fair days of old.
Spinning her yarns by the fire, as we nibbled on her cottage cake, as we sat by her
knees.
Green days, there were green days.
The town she grew up in was a small one, very self-contained. Everybody knew everybody's else's business. A tight-knit band, simple people living simple lives, but with hearts of gold.
And our dear mother Delilah was the daughter of our grandfather Jacob, who managed the public house, the beating heart of our wee town. The central kernel from which the rest exfoliated, the acorn from whither grew the towering oak.
The house of gossip and blossoming news, wondrous tales they did tell there, bartering in scandals and jokes and jibes and barbs and quips and jests and sporting sallies.
Misbegotten infants, so I never problem with the signature.
Ah, no, I shall tell you, that same problem be haunting my house for a very long time now. You go out to their barn there and you take them up by their little tails, and what you do is you take in each finger and you put it in the snout, the little tiny snouts there, you might need 2 little fingers. And what you do then is you jiggle it about and get some snot all going, and then once you've done that, the little piglets, they start squealing and they tell you they'll push for their teeth as soon as possible now. They'll go close to the teeth and they start sucking it like that. Oh, like I'm sucking on this very sugar.
Yeah, that'd be kind of erotic talk.
It's erotic because you like it, my friend, it's your mind, it's all.
I'm a Christian boy, you know.
And our grandmother Rebecca was the wife of Jacob and the mother of our mother Delilah. Jacob and Rebecca kept up a thin veneer of happiness to impress the customers, but underneath it all lay a deep, unspoken sorrow. And our grandfather Jacob was the brother of our great-uncle Adam, who was the town tobacconist. He was a somewhat sly and crafty character, was that dark and cunning Adam, who walked with a crabby limp, the result of an awkward and bloody birth. And between the 2 brothers there was always an intense and brooding rivalry, based on nothing very much. And Dark Adam, whenever the drink was on him, would wickedly endeavour to humiliate poor Jacob and undermine him in front of the other customers.
Would you put your Jasper before me, Anda, would you?
Will you take our value into me and walk?
Would you put your Jasper before me, Anda, would you?
Every day we do.
You fucking bear.
I swear we do.
Was that brother of mine?
Listen, my little, every light boy
you're
square
not
away.
in shite.
Give me your fucking stick, you prick. Give me your fucking stick.
No way.
Oh, it's mine, yeah. My diving suit is in our sea. I swear to you, right?
Look at this barb, he's a lot of shit. Yeah. He could do anything.
and they respected authority. None dared quibble with their renowned and respected leader for life, jolly old Mayor Saul. His lightest word was law, marvellous orator, really knew how to work a crowd, winning them over with his honeyed tongue and booming voice.
Silence! I command you, we have important matters to discuss.
Silence.
Prior to the commencement of this sermon, I feel obliged to raise a few issues which have recently been brought to my attention. I have noticed that there has been a certain laxity in the observance of the hours in which the public house is permitted to purvey liquor. It seems to be open on a 24-hour basis. This is unacceptable! This is detrimental to the moral health of our society. I call upon Jacob, the public house proprietor, to explain himself.
I'm terribly sorry, Your Honor. I was merely trying to get by. The public house is, after all, my sole source of income. I will, from this day forth, try to observe a more disciplined regimen.
Very good, Jacob. And mark my words that had better be, or else your sole source of income may be cut off entirely. I also have a slight bone to pick with David. Your beast has become sick and unsightly to behold. I fear it may become detrimental to public health, which is our paramount priority. I suggest it be culled as quickly as possible, or else I will have it shot.
But Your Honour, 'tis my only cow, and I was longing for the day when she would provide for me a wonderful batch of calves.
David, there can be no calf without a bull, and you know very well there is no such thing in this society. Do not question me! My decision is final! See to it. And without further ado, let me invite Pastor Solomon to begin today's sermon. You my flock, and I am your shepherd. Heed my call, and perhaps you will find direction in a world of temptation. In the palm of my hand I have the key to my salvation. I shall now impart to the congregation a passage that I have selected, and one which I feel the special bearing upon our current situation of moral degradation. Lift up thine eyes unto the high places, and see where thou hast not been lain with. In the ways thou hast sat with them, as Arabian in the wilderness, and thou hast populated the land with thy whoredoms and with thy wickedness. I bid the congregation take heed of this parable and desist their contemptible sinning, and learn to follow the path of righteousness and cleanliness. The Mass has ended. Go in peace to love and serve the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
Let me now pass around the collection bowl. Be generous, for the way of God is the only true path, and it is difficult for me to discern for you the straight and narrow road on a tight budget.
Amidst all, we've quite a tidy sum here today.
Indeed, Pastor Solomon. It should contribute swimmingly to the decoration of our castles in Bermuda.
Yes, Saul, let us divide it. Down the middle as always.
Down the middle indeed, Solomon. Analogous to the role we play in this benighted society.
When are you going to pay me for what I have sold you over the many years that you have been coming to my establishment?
I don't have to pay you a dime. I don't have to pay you a dime. Listen,
if you paid me, I wouldn't have to prostitute my own daughter.
She's a pretty peg.
I'm so fed up.
Oh, that Delilah. Do you know what I mean? Oh, she's just gone. Oh. We were out the back earlier, and we were, well, you know. Have you ever had a girl like that? Do you know what I mean? Have you ever, like that, back? Something.
Many moons ago.
Many moons. Oh, let me tell you about her moons.
Did you make anything tonight?
What's this?
Do you enjoy doing this?
It's a bit of a laugh.
Do you think you'll ever settle down with any of them?
Not likely.
I never would have sunk to it were it not for economic pressures. I mean, you say you enjoy it. I mean, I don't enjoy it, but you say, do you enjoy it? That's the only reason I force it upon you. That's the only reason I take my share of what you make on the job. Had I had a son, things might have been different. I mean, no offense to you, Delilah, but a daughter is not a son. Certainly not in these times. A man is nothing without a son. And I did have a son, Delilah. You know. Rebecca and I, we tried. Johnny would have been his name. But no, little Johnny didn't last. Little Johnny was a stillborn. Poor little Johnny. It tore Rebecca up. Nothing could ever be the same after. Nothing.
I think it's time for you to go to bed, Father.
No.
As the day darkened, the sons of Delilah left the coffee shop and made for the bar in search of stronger stimulant to further loosen their tongues and help them tell their tale.
It began on the day when a queer stranger set foot in town, a weasel poking in his insidious nose.
The last time I heard that, I was being pounded by five guys. That sounds absolutely hard. That sounds fun.
Good evening. May I have a bottle of your local shit?
Yes.
You know, where I come from, they serve me martinis. But I don't suppose you country folk would have heard of them. So, who runs this place?
Oh, that'd be Saul. He lives up on the hill.
Right then. I can assure you I'll be seeing you all very shortly.
money back.
Yes, it's me, Charles. Yep. Fine. Found a perfect location. Pristine, barely habited. With the exception of a few useless peasants, of course. Should be great. I've been pointed in the direction of the mayor's place. He must be a bit of a fool to run such a decrepit society as this. Yeah, will do. Alright. I'll phone you when I've had a word with him. Yep, bye.
Enter!
May I sit?
Sit.
Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Charles Winifred Brown, LLB, and I am here to make you rich.
Rich?
I am a speculator, you see. I look for land which has potential, but is being misused. In my wanderings, I happened upon your society, and I was shocked to see such a wonderful expanse of land put to such abominable use by ignorant and illiterate peasants. I'm sure a gentleman of your caliber will agree.
Well, yes. But what exactly do you have in mind, Charles? Charles, we do appreciate the interest you have shown in our area, but I do doubt the feasibility of such a project. And after all, we're all quite contented here.
Obviously you do not understand. Such projects are frequently undertaken by men such as I. And you can take it for granted that I will make it worth your while.
Worth our while? How exactly?
Financially, of course. If you apply your signatures to this contract, I can guarantee that you will never again have to worry about money.
Well, Charles, this does sound interesting.
Ah, I knew you would come round. I have taken the liberty of drafting the contract and have here 2 generous checks for the both of you.
Charles, would you grant us the pleasure of inspecting these checks before we become signatories?
Of course, gentlemen.
What doth it profit a man to gain the whole world if he lose his immortal soul?
Oh, hello. Yeah, he agreed, no problem. No problem at all. All right, we can begin to work as soon as possible. Send in the builders.
Oh. The queer ox dude has stole out a lot of us. He's in cahoots with the mayor. We have to lynch him! Lynch! On limber weaponry! On limber weaponry!
Let me die with my wig on!
But it was no good. The actions of the villagers proved impotent and futile, for the builders still came. They came with their hammers and their cranes, and they began to raise the place to the ground, and to piss on our heritage, and to lay the past to waste.
From that moment on, nothing could ever be the same.
And oh, what mighty irony, for some of those builders were our fathers. It was too much for poor Jacob to take, and he subsequently hung himself.
And our people began to starve as they were shoved to the sidelines, and they quarrelled and bickered among themselves. And soon all the elders were dead, and the past gone with them, and only our dear mother Delilah was left to hold up the homestead, and tell tales to our children of what was and what had been, misty-eyed the mellow memories that swam back up before us, as she conjured them to delight and sadden and enchant us in turn, in turn, in turn.
Last orders came, and there was no more beer being served, so the sons of Delilah left the bar. As they stood and swayed on the street outside, singing tipsily a drunken ditty or two, they all of them vowed there and then that they would meet again on the morrow morn to complete their pilgrimage by doing homage at the grave of their departed mother, their dearly beloved Delilah.
Delilah.